Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and this is our co-host.
I'm Nicole Harvick.
And this is the Change Book series. It is the fastest growing self-empowerment book series on the planet.
This spans over 30 countries, and we now bring them all together in a powerful podcast destined to change people from all corners of the globe.
So go ahead and grab your pen and paper because our guest today is going to share a lot of amazing tips and inspiration that you're definitely going to want to write down.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Harvick, and I am your host today for the Change Book Podcast. We have another amazing guest / co-author to talk to today, and his name is Jonathon Amundsen. And I've been practicing that, so I hope I got that right.
I am actually impressed. I really am.
Thank you. I did it a couple times. I'm like, okay, because I get my name mispronounced all the time, so I'm really cautious when I pronounce names. So I got it right. Yay. And he is a hypnotherapist. He's also a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. So welcome, Jonathon. How are you today?
I'm very well today. I saw that intro and I'm like, holy smokes, I'm going to have to shift my energy up like 2 solid notches.
We are large and in charge here. We love the energy. We keep the energy going. So shift it however you have to, because we want to hear all about you and we want you to make us excited. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? These two things, hypnotherapy and NLP, amaze me. And I have taken my NLP classes. I just never tested for it, which I'm meeting a lot of people that have, and I'm starting to think maybe I should have done that. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Jonathon.
Well, I mean, how do I fit the last 42 years into anything? But
Exactly.
Kind of, let me talk about why I'm doing hypnotherapy.
Perfect.
I actually spent 20 years working in the funeral industry, helping people basically as grief was really fresh for them. And it was an honor, it was a privilege, it was deeply meaningful work. I loved that I could be there for folks at a time when, I think there are these moments in people's lives where it's kind of a nexus where like a slight change in their experience can change the whole trajectory of life for them. And I love that I got to be there and be humanity for people in those times. Be as, another nice thing about funeral work was there was never any expectation for me to make it okay or better or good. It was going to suck. And
Yes.
my job was just to make it the least sucky possible. And if I could do that, I could literally impact decades of people's lives, how they healed from grief. And I love that. I still, from time to time, a lot of friends in the funeral industry. I'm repeatedly tempted back to, I would love to help families in that way. But I saw a lot of folks dying from smoking-related illness. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to see that repeatedly and go, man, if only people had a way out. Because if you've ever seen somebody who is smoking after watching a loved one die, you know that PSA announcements, they only go so far, right?
Absolutely.
And it's a blessing to whatever extent that the PSA announcements have scared people straight, so to speak, gotten them into healthier habits. But I think they have largely reached all the people they're going to reach. And the folks who, the studies, when people do a survey, 70 to 80% of people smokers will say, I would like to stop smoking. And yet they're still smoking. Often I talk to smokers whose journey to non-smoking has lasted 20 years sometimes. I'm thinking of one client, 25 years, that she's been trying to quit smoking. And it's not the same sort of choice. So when I discovered that hypnosis was the most effective way to quit smoking, it's like, well, maybe I can, rather than being there for people at the end, when I can only help their loved ones, maybe I can help people enjoy time with their loved ones. Because depending on when you catch somebody smoking and you're able to help them, you might add 5 years to their life. You might add 10. Some studies show even a little bit more than that. Um, and smoking is not just a when you die thing. It's a quality of life thing. It's the energy that people have in their life, and money. In my area, a pack a day smoker is going to typically spend something over 4 grand a year, and that's just in these cost of cigarettes. Yeah, I know it
Wow.
varies wildly depending on what people are smoking, what locality they're in. It can easily be a factor of two difference. And of course, there's a minority of folks who will roll their own cigarettes. Those people have very little financial exposure to the problem, but it is still a deeply costly problem to have, a deeply costly habit to have. And people, people are happy to tell me I'd love to be done with this, but they don't feel like they have a way out. And that's because our conscious mind and our unconscious mind operate differently. And sometimes
Yes.
they can want different things. They can want radically different things. And if one side and the other are not on the same page with each other, they're kind of pulling like this, and the experience of struggle being somebody in the middle of kind of the two halves of them pulling hard different directions. That's not a great experience to have a lot of times.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure. I'm sure. And I was so shocked when I moved out here to South Carolina because coming from Arizona, for the most part, we're very health minded.
mm,
There's hiking, there's golf, there's kayaking, and I saw very few people smoking. As a matter of fact, our restaurants, it was banned
mm,
many, many years ago. And I watch people out here on the beach in nature. You're not even supposed to smoke on the beach. And they're, one right after the other. And is it when you're addicted to smoking, is it the tobacco or is it something mental?
um, well, making zero bones about this, nicotine is highly addictive.
Okay.
Maybe the best way to get this point across is that when if you're in communities where there's a lot of street drug use, let's put it that way,
Mhm.
heroin, methamphetamine, these sorts of things. A lot of times, these recovery centers get really focused on getting people off of the heroin and the methamphetamine. Rightfully so, they will end you quickly, um, and a very large fraction of those folks are smokers. They're smoking even after they've gotten clean. They're very proud of having gotten clean. But the nicotine is often something they don't even bother trying to clean up because they're just happy that folks aren't going to suddenly, OD on nicotine and be dead, to put it very bluntly. Um,
Yeah.
but this is the sort of thing that when you can quit nicotine, or you can quit cocaine, um, meth, heroin, and still be stuck for decades, maybe the rest of your life on nicotine. If just like so many people want to tell smokers, oh, just quit. It's just as simple as not doing it. And yes, that's literally true. All you have to do is not do the thing and you'll be fine. And almost everybody in our society has something that they do or don't do but wish they didn't, or
Oh,
don't do but
sure.
wish they did.
Yeah.
And that mismatch is basically it's the unconscious mind doing something different than what the conscious mind wants to do. And again, the experience in the middle is not great. This can be around people's general health experiences, like what they eat and how much movement they get. You talked about being out in nature. Exercise does not have to be movement. Does not have to be like in a gym. It can be movement in general.
Absolutely, yes.
When we are done, you're
I
talking about
prefer
nature.
that. Yeah, I much prefer that for me.
For me, I know lots of people who enjoy their, going for a run or on a treadmill or something like that. That's not me. When we are done here, this is Saturday as we're recording this. Saturday is my once a week. I go out on a hike. I usually walk every day, but I got into I used to be I don't know about hiking person. My friends would send back pictures from the tops of mountains. I'm like, I'm very happy they like it. I will gladly look at the pictures. These are great. I am so glad that they
Done.
have these.
Yeah.
And I'm not going with them. Maybe if there's something like maybe for the social thing. About a year, maybe 3/4 ago, uh, I was persuaded to get up on a mountain, and basically I was persuaded to take a hike, but I got to do it at my own pace. I was basically hiking alone, and I realized that my experience hiking alone was very different than all the experiences I had had as a child hiking. Because as a child, I was a very much larger person, very much larger person. I was also asthmatic, and I'd be, involved in these youth groups. My parents doing the best they can to like socialize me and give me good experiences. But youth groups would go on hikes, and it'd be time to climb a mountain, and I would be stuck with the whichever adult was chaperoning me, who no longer got to be with the rest of the group, had to be with the slowest, most out of shape kid in the group. And it would be like a death march sort of thing. Like, I am pouring sweat, I am wheezing, the air is thin. I have, like, if I've had to have a pack on for water or whatever, it's a bunch of weight that I'm not used to carrying too. And I just have these miserable experiences. And until just recently, and I realized I can actually do this at my pace. And so I might hike a mountain, but I'm probably coming back with 100 pictures of moss and sunshine streaming through the trees and stuff like that. And honestly, a short hike can be for me can come back with 100 pics of mundane stuff. But I'm like, look at this moss. It's great.
Nature nature is so healing, and I wish people understood that. And I feel bad for people that maybe do smoke, because they're probably never going to have the lung capacity that we do to climb those mountains, to see that moss, to see the sunset. Crazy as it sounds to hear those coyotes. And so I'm wondering, is that how when you knew about the smokers, when you were dealing with funeral homes, is that what made you decide to use hypnotherapy to
Yeah,
help these people stop smoking?
yeah. It was in the funeral industry, especially kind of being a first responder within that. I got to be in people's homes of all sorts of homes. Whether we are talking mansions on the lake overlooking things, um, or we're talking trailers deep in the woods. Hard to find, hard to navigate to. I've been in just about every kind of home there is, um, and so you get to see kind of how people's choices impact their life. And I definitely noticed that smoking tended to correlate with folks living not their best life, you know? And when I learned that hypnotherapy was a way that could change, and in fact, a really effective way to change that, like, how can I not? Like, if I'm here for impact, like, if I want the world to be changed and different, um, how can I sit on the sidelines and just do the, I mean, kind of cleanup work? If
Yes.
the other option is I can help folks get clear of this. One of my favorite things that my clients will do for me, do for themselves, I guess, but when I check in with them after they've quit smoking, is I'm thinking of one client in particular. I noticed that after we'd had the quit session, I'm just kind of checking in later. There's a bunch of like greenery in her background, like in her office space. There's a bunch of plants. I think that's very, very interesting. Those weren't there before. I mean, there was maybe a couple, but now there's like this rainforest inside her office. And she during the call, she dismounts her webcam. I do a lot of my work over Zoom. She dismounts her webcam and turns it around to look out the window at her garden, which, according to her, had basically been completely neglected for a good long time. But as a non-smoker, she's got all this time to like do the garden. By the way, a pack-a-day smoker is usually in it conservatively for 2 hours a day of smoke breaks.
Oh,
If
2 hours?
2 hours. So there are 20 cigarettes in a pack. If you figure um, just 5 minutes to smoke each, and of course, a smoker in the middle of their thing will tell you it doesn't, like I multitask, it doesn't really take any time. But realistically, I don't know what your experience in multitasking is, but I find that even if I watch a YouTube and brush my teeth brushing goes slower. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, if you're in it for 20 cigarettes and 5 minutes apiece, you're at 100 minutes right there. Most smokers run to a convenience store. By the way, 99.7% of convenience stores sell tobacco products. Um, but if you're running to the store and it only takes you 15 or 20 minutes to go grab another pack, 100 plus 15 or 20, you're at 2 hours.
Wow,
And
that's
yeah,
crazy. And it's so interesting because not only are you, in my opinion, I've never been a smoker, but I feel that you're wasting your money, but you're also wasting your time. And we never get our time back, ever. Think of what that adds up to. If it's 2 hours a day, what does that add up to in a year of things
well,
you could have been doing other than that?
one of my favorite things to think about when thinking about 2 hours relative to what you could do. Many people are in some sort of relationship. Whether they're happy there or not, they're in some sort of relationship often. And there are studies that have shown that um, people can fall in love. Well, obviously, we know that people can fall in love. You hear these stories, fall in love in just seconds of seeing something, which was also a fun thing in the funeral industry to meet people at the end of their life and ask, "How did you meet?" Loads of fun to hear the stories, right? Oh, I saw
Yeah.
him. He was walking across the university campus. I was hundreds of feet away, and I knew he was like. Love these stories. But on the science side of things, the more replicatable side of things, they have found that if you spend 90 minutes with somebody, with basically they coach people to ask progressively deeper questions of each other. Start out nice and simple, get into more background, more emotionally charged content, and you end that up with like I think it's a minute of eye gazing at the end or something like that. You spend 90 minutes doing that procedure, there is a really high chance those two people are going to be in love. Not just like, oh, I
Interesting.
wouldn't mind dating this person. They're going to be actually in love, just as in love as most anybody ever experiences. If if that can be done with 3/4 of the time it takes to smoke a pack of cigarettes, and somebody
Wow.
is smoking a pack of cigarettes every day, what possibilities are available for them in terms of their family life, their home life? Um, to be deeply connected with the people they already love, or would like to love. Just like this, I don't know. I get kind of excited about that, right?
Yes. Well, so many possibilities what to do with your time if you're
Mhm,
not taking that smoke break.
mhm. And like we were talking about the financial aspect. By the way, uh, outside of outside of hypnosis, which is frankly a fairly niche thing. A lot of people don't think about it most days of their life, right? Well, some people don't think about it ever. When public health authorities are trying to figure out how to get people to stop, the most effective thing that they have found is to jack up the price.
Oh,
Um,
really?
which is often one of the first things that people talk to me about. Is they can talk about the fact that it's bleeding them through the nose to have again in my area, name brand cigarettes, pack a day, you're looking at $4,000, $15. Actually, I think it's probably gone up since the last time I ran the numbers.
That's a lot of
um,
money.
and I'm thinking back also to a lady who called me. She was an Uber driver. Frankly, in times past, maybe when Uber was starting, that used to be a certain level of lucrative. Now it's probably less lucrative, at least in our current market. A lot of people have, kind of gotten into the Uber game. But she's telling me she's smoking 3 packs a day.
Oh,
That's $900 a month. Now,
my
this
goodness.
this is actually something that the increased prices has made very rare. I almost never hear people reporting that they're smoking 3 packs a day,
Mm,
because nobody can afford it. Um,
right.
Decades ago, it was not uncommon to hear reports from chain smokers, folks who be in it for not 60 but 100 cigarettes in a day, 5 packs, something like that. Um, that's a lot of money these days,
That's a
and
lot of money.
so it's usually the financial aspect that gets people going. Hey, I'd like to stop. Now, for me, if it's just the money, I'm going to be digging for more motivation. I'm going to want to know what it is emotionally that gets people going, or gets people wanting to stop, actually,
Yeah.
because that's where the juice is. I would be happy to smoke, but I just can't afford it right now. Well, that's maybe not where we want to be.
Yeah.
Um, People who are like, well, this money is killing me, but also my skin looks terrible and I smell ridiculous. And once upon a time it was a very social thing to do, and now I'm the pariah. I have to stand outside in the cold or the rain or something like that in order to smoke at the bar, um, or at the office. Um, and then contrasting that with, okay, how would you like to be as a non-smoker? Well, I'd love to be a good influence on my nieces and nephews or my children or my grandchildren. I would love to, I used to hike, but I don't hike anymore, and I'd love to go to the national parks now that I'm retired. I get a fair number of folks who are kind of in that retirement bracket. Um, but I want to get these contrasting experiences of like, hey, it actually kind of sucks. I don't like to talk about how much it sucks because, well, in our society we often don't, and smokers
Yeah.
maybe especially more. And I also want to get the bright, shiny future that we're excited about.
Well,
So,
I heard you talk about the subconscious mind,
mhm.
a few minutes ago in our conversation. And I'm just wondering, with NLP, could you explain that a little bit to our audience, and also how that could assist someone in getting to the root of the problem and helping them stop? Because I think would you use that and hypnosis to help someone stop smoking?
So usually I conceive of my world through the lens of hypnosis. That's just where I've
Mhm.
spent most of my time studying, and it's been more recent and prevalent for me. Also, I will say, NLP people, NLP people may not want to hear this, but hypnosis and NLP are kind of like different sides of the same coin. They're
Okay.
different ways of languaging to access stuff going on in our unconscious mind. Uh, whether you call it NLP or you call it trance or hypnosis or give it a dozen other names, it's the realization that some stuff is conscious and some stuff is unconscious. And if we're not talking to the unconscious mind, we might not be talking to where the problem is. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's really, really interesting. The subconscious fascinates me. It really, really does. But could you just briefly explain what NLP is for someone who might not know exactly what it is?
Yeah, so the NLP stands for neuro linguistic programming. And basically, maybe the easiest way to think about it is the realization that thanks to what we have to do to create ourselves as functional beings as we grow up, words mean things to us. They mean different things to each of us, but they have associations that have come kind of we've wrapped into everything. Now that's going to be in specific a little bit different for every person. If I ask you to think of a flower, what color
Hmm.
is the flower that comes to your mind?
Pink.
Actually, I got pink as well.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
But that's not going to be true for everyone. There may be a lot of people who come up with a pink flower. There might be people who think of a rose, whether it's pink or not. There might be people who I've got fuchsia, the flower fuchsias, on my mind right at the moment now. But it could be a flower sitting in somebody's front garden. It could be a bouquet handed to them. Um, the flowers that come up in mind are going to be different for every person. And I know from doing this for myself, sometimes they're different time to time. Sometimes it's a red flower for me. Sometimes it's garden flowers. Sometimes it's a potted plant. But there's the thing, and then there's all the context around it that comes up as the um, vision that I see. Now, NLP has different ways, focuses on different ways of understanding. There's kind of the visual, what pictures we see. There's the kinesthetic, what it is that we feel in our body. This is me kind of miming what we feel with our fingertips, but it could be anywhere in your body. There's the things that we hear, what sounds around us are going on, and there's also I guess the next, well, there's olfactory, gustatory, which is your taste and smell. Those can be important. Probably the most relatable one of those is if you had an experience as a child where maybe a parent or a grandparent baked cookies, and you have that
Hmm.
fresh cookie smell come to you at some time in a bakery. Uh, that it might bring you right back to that moment. One of
Mine is
the
freshly mowed grass.
Okay,
Takes
excellent.
me right back to childhood.
hmm And this is a beautiful thing. The associations that you built with your childhood and the smell of grass um, can be triggered, so as that you smell the grass, and you might know that you're not 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever the age was, right? But your attention is all right there, all the way back, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
if there was something that you needed to um, do or manipulate, manipulate's a weird word in our language. A lot of people have manipulated the use of the word manipulate to be negative,
A good way to put it.
but the root is hand, mano. I manipulate a pen to do it. I have a 3-year-old. I have to manipulate him to keep him out of the road. Um, if I want him to survive, I've got to do a fair bit
Yes.
of manipulation. It is actually a neutral thing that has gotten some baggage over the years. Um, I've completely forgot where I was going. Oh yes, if you've got one of these associations, it triggers you, sends you all the way back. A lot of times, you'll go all the way back as a child. You'll experience as a child. What can be powerful is if you bring a little bit of consciousness or intention back with it, and there's something you need to change. Honestly, if you enjoy the fresh mowed grass and just that as a memory, just enjoy it. If it's a
It,
golden memory,
it
just
is.
just enjoy. Like, here's another thing. I feel like I'm a little off topic here, but when we have these pleasant experiences, anything that gives you joy, studies have shown that joy will increase basically your productivity, your active intelligence, your ability to do projects and get things done. And sometimes that boost in productivity will last like 2 days. So if you have yourself a great reminiscence based on the smell of cookies or grass or whatever it is for you, right? And by the way,
Yes.
for anybody watching, every time I say grass, fresh mowed grass, see what happens to Nicole's face.
I
Her
smile.
whole she smiles, her body starts rocking back and forth because the unconscious part of her, she didn't choose any of these things. But her unconscious mind is like, yes, this is great. Let's talk more about mowing lawns.
Yeah, exactly. And it was from when I grew up. It was like everybody worked all week long. Saturday was the time you did your chores. And so I would be cleaning a room. My mom would be doing something. My brother would be doing something. And my dad would be mowing the lawn. And it just
Yeah.
takes me back to a much simpler time of great happiness.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not happy now, but it's a very good memory for me. So that in itself is absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah. And these, I'm going to say something that for some people listening who may be not in their best state right at the moment will seem controversial. But we all have uh, resourceful memories, things that have gone very well for us. And when we tap into those things, so that was the I have definitely been in times in my life where I would reject that statement. No, nothing goes right for me. Like, I think we've all been through points in our life, many people anyway,
Yes,
where
we
we
have.
go, no, there's nothing goes right in my life. Everything is rubbish. This is state dependent learning, basically, where when you're in a terrible state, you only remember the yucky stuff in life. When you are having a great time, you don't remember the yucky stuff. It seems so far away, it seems distant because you're in a great state. So it's like having, if your mind is a mansion, this is a metaphor here. If your mind is a mansion, it's like you walked into the room with all the great stuff. And all the great stuff is in the room. When you're in a good state, you naturally gravitate to the room with all the great stuff, and all your favorite toys, all your favorite memories are in there. When you have accidentally wandered around, maybe you've just gone for a stroll around your mental space, you turn up in the everything is crap room. It
I've
is
been there.
full of, yeah, it's full of all the people who've said negative things. It is full of all the broken toys that don't work no more. All the rubbish situations are kind of stored in that space. And uh, if another metaphor here, if life is like a roller coaster, when you're at the top, you see this great view. You're up above. You look at the sky. You look at down at the mountains. It's great. When you're down in the valley, you're underneath the fog layer, and everything looks dark and murky and terrible. So this kind of the state dependent learning thing makes it real. Um, Basically, makes the experience you're having now seem like the only experience that you can have.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
If you're having a great experience, it's great. And it will add to your productivity. It will add to your ability to reach your goals. Um, if that's not the experience you're having, then, well, you're probably going to move slower. You're probably going to do less purposeful tasks. You're not going to be as smart. I don't know what to tell you. You're just not going to be as smart. You're not going to be usefully as smart as you would be in a better state. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying like I don't do this, but a lot of times you get into the crappy room and you just kind of go, well, let me focus on here. I'm like, this looks terrible. Let me see what I can do in here. We don't realize we got to step out of the room, back to where our resources are. And if we bring the resources in, like if there's no lights because all the lights burn out in the crappy room, you got to bring a flashlight in to fix anything. If you don't bring resources into that place, it's going to stay terrible. And if you stay stuck in a place that's terrible, you're going to have complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jonathon, we are at the end of our interview. It went so fast, and I want to tell you, it's just fascinating to listen to you. I've learned so much from you, and it's the funniest thing is when you said, look at me, I'm smiling, and when talking about the fresh mowed grass. And it's sometimes those are things you don't even catch yourself doing, till someone points it out. So I have enjoyed this interview so much with you. This has been very enlightening, very encouraging that we can use those memories to our advantage. And I just want to thank you for being on today. It was
welcome.
wonderful having you here.
Nicole, can I borrow 2 more minutes of your time?
Absolutely.
Some people find it useful to have a reset where if they're in the crappy room, they can extricate themselves back into the joyous room. So that maybe you're walking into a meeting and you need to be on your game. Maybe you just want to be in a better place. But if you close your eyes and imagine there's a mirror in front of your face. And as you imagine that mirror, there's a face in that mirror. Change that face in whatever way you need to be just this smiling face, a face smiling with the most genuine, honest, contagious smile you've ever seen. Maybe you change it in big ways or little ways. Maybe starting with the corners of the mouth, maybe bringing the cheeks up. Maybe it's the corners of the eyes starting to show those little crow's feet, the little wrinkles that let you know that the eyes are smiling too. When the whole face is a big smile, and you'll know that you're doing this right when you start to feel your physical face smiling back at you too. Give that about 20 seconds. Neurology is a weird thing. Bad information comes in faster, locks in faster. We have to give good information about 20 seconds to lock in to equal it out. Mm-hmm. It's simple. We just give it 20 more seconds. And when you see that smiling face beaming at you, it just resets you to a place where you can go tackle the next thing. And when you've had that experience, you've felt your physical muscles of your face responding to the image in the mirror, just bring yourself back and go have at it. It doesn't take but 20 seconds to boost yourself right out of the crappy room and into the I'm ready to tackle this space. So I just wanted to offer that because
absolutely,
I'm likely to do that in a couple of days.
That is so great. No, I've never heard of doing that. So I'm going to utilize that too.
The nickname I have for that is the inner smile. But it is, I use it in all sorts of places for like, if I'm doing push-ups and I'm kind of tired of the push-ups, but I know I got more in me, I click in the inner smile to put me in the mood to do the next several push-ups. If I'm about to do something that I'm a little nervous about, and I know I need to do it, this is the good stuff's where I'm going. Let's use that to put myself in a place where I show up as my best self. So wow. that's one of
that's amazing advice for everyone. Everyone could utilize that, couldn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And I'm going to practice my inner smile when I start my housework after this. So I will keep you posted on if it works or not. But I do, again, want to thank you for being here. And this is going to be a very beneficial interview. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Nicole Harvick, and this is my co-host,
Rachel Best. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.